Hey everyone, Alex Telander here, and welcome to the Ostium Sagas. Now, if you're enjoying this series and want more right away, I just wanted to mention that you can get them on our Ostium Network Patreon at patreon.com/ostiumpodcast. By becoming a supporter at any level, you'll instantly get access to the next 15 episodes in the series. So that's on our Patreon at patreon.com/ostiumpodcast. Now, I'd just like to thank our 5 most recent patrons for supporting the Ostium Network. Thank you to Death to Komatsu, Daryl Williamson, Descripticon, Virginia Green, and Talon for all your support. We really appreciate it. And now let's get started with the next chapter of the Ostium Sagas. The Ostium Sagas. Saga 2, 1666. Recorder's Endnote, Part 3. It was another waiting game, but I wasn't going to just sit around and twiddle my thumbs while chewing my nails because that's bloody hard to do at the same time, and I wanted to ease my stress, not increase it. So I followed up on something I'd mentioned in a previous recorder's note and asked Zhang if they had any record or were able to somehow track down the timeline where this alternate London that no longer existed, and whether they were able to find out anything about Dana Lee or even Robert. Then I stayed quiet for a while and gave Zhang as much time as they needed. A full 50 minutes later, they responded that they were unable to locate any information or data on Dana or Robert, and while sometimes it was possible to narrow down and locate specific people on a specific timeline, it required that Zhang have their unique DNA signifier to be able to do it, and since they did not have this for either Dana or Robert, there wasn't much else that could be done about it. I thanked them profusely for their time and their immense quantum computing power, and then made a joke about how we should play a game of chess sometime. Zhang then asked if I really wanted to do that, clearly getting my intended joke. Yes, chess with a quantum artificial intelligence would not be a pretty sight for the victim, i.e. me. As for anyone watching, well, that would be another matter. But before I could decide what to do next with my time, there was a chime on my datapad. A very specific sound that indicated there was a new message in the quantum oral messaging system. I took in a deep breath, said, "Here goes," to an empty room, and pressed the play button.
To Steve Chase at hotmail.com from L. Harcourt at marquette.edu. Subject, check and mate.
Yes, when I saw that subject line, my head did a double take. But I accepted it was just one of those crazy, random, and possibly heavily Ostium-influenced coincidences, and went on with the message as I didn't want to miss anything.
Dear Steve, to say I was surprised to hear both your message and the recording you sent me does not begin to do the word justice. I thought you were going to spar a little, at least from a communication perspective, that we would hint back and forth on the important and potentially invaluable information we are each in possession of, trying to get the other to reveal more or show them how, as it were. Or perhaps I should continue the metaphor I referenced in the subject line of this audio message in saying that we would each move our pawns around the chessboard without taking any risks or raising any stakes. And yet, here you go. You move your queen in a single move and checkmate me. And yes, before you begin to decry my error, I know it's not really possible in an early game of chess, but I confess I'm not that familiar with the game. Nevertheless, the metaphor still very much applies. I was rendered speechless when I heard your recording. Not just for the duration of the recording, but for a considerable amount of time after also. It is something. Well, to be perfectly honest, it is a story I never expected to be able to understand, let alone be told in its entirety, and now it only seems fair that I return the favor and make my own bold move on this metaphorical chessboard. Okay, I believe I have stretched this metaphor beyond its limits and will now abandon it, if you don't mind. I am recording this after the conclusion of listening to your recording a second time, and you'll be happy to know I now have some words to voice, unlike after that first time. That is why I wish to record this right away, to be honest and transparent and as spontaneous as possible with you. After conferring with some of my people, I feel it is time I come clean with you. And I have received full support and approval from those I need to in this matter, and now I can definitely tell you that your suspicions have been correct. I am, in fact, a member of the clandestine group known as the Conclave. There, you have it. If you need time to process this, you may pause this recording because, as I said, I have much more to tell you, and I think all of it is important. It will not surprise you to learn that there are members of the Conclave working on the recording you sent me of the slim volume, or the second Ostium Saga, if you prefer. You've given me and the Conclave something that we've been waiting for some 300 years. It is also clear from your most recent message, and the previous one where you were hinting at the first Ostium Saga, that you are in fact in possession of the tome known as the Ostium Sagas. The most sacred and important tome within our vaults, if I may be perfectly honest with you. This has caused an immediate and significant conundrum within the Conclave, for when I received your message and the recording, I was immediately in touch with the Conclave, and they quickly confirmed with me that the Ostium Sagas tome is currently being securely kept in our hidden vault. And if there is anything I can confirm wholeheartedly as a scholar of the Conclave, it is that there is, and has only ever been, one single copy of the Ostium Sagas. And yet, somehow, through the impossible, it appears that you are in possession of a second copy of the Ostium Sagas.